thank you for taking the time to speak with me today, and congratulations on getting one of the top 25 screenwriters to watch for the ISA. That's a huge deal. And
It was a huge deal to me. Like, I don't know if anybody on that list thought, oh, cool, but I was just running around, jumping up and down, and so excited because I followed the ISA and been a member for many years and met Felicity and Max, worked with them on a conference that we had up here in Seattle, and, just really liked the organization. So it was such an honor to be asked.
absolutely, yeah, the ISA is great group of people, and they really love and nurture the craft. And so if you're chosen, there's a reason. And for you, it's you're a screenwriter, but you also write novels, correct?
Yes, I am a novelist. First, I have 16 published novels. I'm a USA Today best-selling author, which is another term that I throw around because it's an honor to have had books on the USA Today bestseller list. Yeah, so that's how I got into it. First, wrote books, and then had interest in one of my books for a screenplay. And they said, "Do you know how to write a screenplay? Can you give us a screenplay for this?" And I said, "I could know how to write a screenplay. How long do you have? Let me get back to you." So then I looked up how do you write a screenplay, and I adapted my first novel, which is this one, The Dream Jumper's Promise, into a screenplay, and then started entering it into contests. And many years later, it's been optioned many times. Many years later, now I can happily say that it's going into development and hopefully going to be filmed at the end of this year. So,
Well, congratulations, that's huge and
thank you.
very interesting. So screenplays weren't necessarily your first love. It wasn't writing scripts, it was writing novels, and it just so happened to, kind of be fate in a sense.
Yeah, I fell into it. I always tell the person who said, "Do you know how to write a screenplay? Because this would make a great screenplay and I could take it around." Um, I always tell her, "Thank you for getting me into screenplay writing." I just never considered myself someone who could write a screenplay. And when I started adapting, it was kind of a thing that you could be a novelist or you could be a screenwriter, but you probably couldn't be both. You just stayed in your own lane, so to speak. I have now realized that a writer is a writer and you can write both. And I think that idea is out the window now.
Yeah, I was gonna
It's,
say, tell Gillian Flynn that.
I
you know,
know, right? Yeah, there are a lot of successful novelists who wrote their own screenplay that went on to be a really great movie. So, yeah, and I think Suzanne Collins with I don't know, with the Hunger Games, and
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I think she wrote her screenplay, and yeah, so and I think the Twilight series, she has some say in that. It's just yeah, a lot of talented novelists who can also write screenplays. I don't write novels on one day and then the next day work on a screenplay. I try to be all or nothing for a while.
Mm.
So, yeah, the last few months I've just been writing screenplays because I've gotten such good traction, and that's where I'm making money. I'm getting interest. Made the ISA list, So, and I have some um, movies being filmed this year. So I just, I'm trying to make hay while the sun shines.
That's awesome. Yeah, and there's a lot there to that I'd love to tackle. It's interesting too, you said that that wasn't something that was commonly done, but it's kind of out the window now. I wonder how many novelists would have preferred that they wrote the screenplay that was adapted from their book, because maybe it would have
Well,
been, better.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure the market would be flooded. But I do teach the adaptation. I was just teaching last weekend at a novel writing retreat, and I was talking to the novelists there about how fun it is to write a screenplay after tackling a novel for a year or two or three. A rewrite for a novel can take a month or two because it's, 300 pages. And I'll tell you, a lot of the novelists I was talking to were quite interested in the process.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for me, it's like I can write a screenplay. I recently wrote one in 9 days. I don't um, recommend that because
It
I
was
like
a
to have
challenge,
time.
I'm assuming.
Such a challenge. And I ended up with sciatica, which is like shooting pain down your, from sitting so much. But I like time to let a script marinate and then come back to it a couple months later and I have a fresh idea, and that type of thing. So it's not always my best work if I write quickly like that. But yeah, I mean, writing a screenplay can be really fast. Writing a novel is not fast at all. There's no way you can do it in 9 days.
Obviously there's, obvious differences between writing the two, like for instance, how long it takes. But do you have a difference in your process as to how you take on one of those versus a
I
novel?
do. Yeah. I mean, I think plotting is really important for me for both novels and screenplays. I tend to plot more with a novel, but similar ideas, like I lay it all out in chapters and what I want to accomplish in each chapter. And I like to, take the hero's journey or the 15 beats and lay it all out that way. When I do a screenplay, my plotting is a little looser and I tend to lay it out in like 50 scenes and then fill in some scenes or take away scenes. And then the final process for writing a screenplay is like my piece of chocolate cake at the end. It's my
Mhm.
reward that, okay, you've done all this work now. You get to write the screenplay and then it goes really quickly because I've, plotted it to the nth degree and I'm ready. I'm like a racehorse at the gate.
And then I
Yeah.
hope you have chocolate cake too at the end.
Oh, now I want a piece of chocolate cake.
A celebration for your work. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's really interesting. And you mentioned that you did some kind of research on how to write a screenplay, and so how valuable do you think the tools are, or like, something like the ISA and what they provide, and just learning, how important is that in starting a new craft like that?
Absolutely essential. Like when I first wrote my first one, um, I had the Screenwriters Bible by Dave Trottier. I think that's how you say his name. And I read that cover to cover several times and then went, okay, here I go. And then after that, I did so many rewrites on this first one. Took Max Tim's class at ISA. Did classes with Felicity as well, and then did some classes on some other screenwriting site. Just, when you're first starting out with screenwriting, you don't know what you don't know. You just think you're doing a really good job. Every single day you think, hey, this is pretty easy and I'm really good, and you don't know until you look back a couple of years later that, yeah, the writing could have been a lot stronger, but, confidence was there, so that's good. But yeah, lots of research, never stop learning. I got some information this morning from the agent Audrey Knox on LinkedIn that I just copied and pasted and read over several times. Went, I love this teaching method. I love this way to write. I'm going to incorporate this into the scripts that I'm writing now. And I'm at a level now where I'm selling scripts and I'm optioning scripts. I have a lifetime thriller coming out. Well, it's being filmed this summer, and so I write on commission as well. So um, I don't think I know it all. I am still trying to figure it out, but I am getting some traction in the industry, which is really nice after all this time.
Yeah, it can definitely be a long road. So how many screenplays or scripts have you written? And, can you tell us a bit about the projects that you have, going, like the thriller you mentioned?
Yeah, well, I have 16 screenplay or scripts. I have a couple of shorts. One of them I produced and really proud of that one called Chat. And I have two pilots. One of them is based on a book series of mine that I absolutely love. I would love to sell that to some showrunner or streamer. But the rest of them are features. I'm a feature writer primarily and have no interest in writing in a room with a team. Um, Kind of a lone wolf out here. Although, I might consider collaborating with one person. Anyhow, I have a lot of features, and about half of them are romances. I am a romance writer by trade. Everything I write has romance in it. That's kind of my brand. Whether it's suspense thriller or whether it's Christmas or I don't know, supernatural, there's always going to be a romance in there somewhere. So I have a lot of Christmas romances, and I have some just straight rom-coms. I have a family adventure movie that we filmed last summer in Utah, and it is has distribution. It'll be out this summer, and we filmed it in Utah on the Provo River, and I produced that as well as wrote it, and that has a romance in it. Even though it's about a little girl who finds a wolf puppy on a river rafting trip, the distributor and the investor asked me to put in a romance between well, I won't say who. You have
But
to
there's a
watch it.
reason. Romance,
Yeah,
it's
romance makes the world go round. Yeah, and romance sells.
it
And
does.
I didn't set out to be a romance writer, but I now know I am. And there's one in everything I write.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
So, was that the question? I can't remember.
that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
What's
got a lot
the,
of
you want to
stuff.
talk about the lifetime?
Sure.
Yeah.
That, strangely enough, that opportunity came to me through LinkedIn.
Oh,
I posted something on there about my Christmas romance books and scripts, and a developmental executive contacted me on LinkedIn, said she'd like to read one. We established a relationship back and forth. She read a couple things of mine. Then she said, you know what? They're looking for a thriller right now. So, do you have any thriller log lines we can develop? So I put together some log lines, and they didn't want a script I'd already written, which was fine. They wanted to develop the script with me. So over the course of a couple of months, this exec and I developed like a 28-page outline, and then I got the go ahead to write the script and wrote it. What was wonderful about this process was that I got paid for every step along the way.
that's nice.
So that's gold right there. So, yeah, by the time the script was written, and I wrote a couple of drafts and then handed it in, um, and then they had somebody work on it a little bit for Lifetime to fit the template properly, and I believe it's in casting now. The last I heard, they have their location. Going to film in BC, Canada this summer, and yeah, they hopefully I'll get invited to the set. Probably not, but I mean, I'm out of it now because I got paid. But yeah, so that's exciting.
Great.
Happy that that happened, and excited to see it on the channel.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank
So
you.
when did you know you wanted to be a writer? I'm just curious. What is something that inspires you to write?
The need to talk, probably the need to be heard. I'm the youngest child in the family and the youngest of all the grandchildren, and have a great need to be heard and understood, and it propels me through life to do amazing things so people will look at me. Um, yeah, I was a former actress and singer, so again, need to be heard and seen. I
Or
think
scene? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Taken seriously. I went to Taiwan to adopt a daughter in 2002, a baby, and I wrote emails home to all my friends and family, and everyone said, "Oh, this should be a book." So brought the baby home to Seattle, and she's now 21. She'll be 22 next month. Um, she's upstairs asleep because she's nocturnal, but kids. Um, so I thought, oh, I don't want to write about me adopting a baby because I just know it'll be a bestseller and I'll be on Oprah and my life will be, you know, dissected by the world. So I'll just write a fictional book about a woman who adopts a baby from Taiwan. So that I started off doing that, and uh, and I loved the process. Never looked back, and that was, I don't know, 15, 16 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
Um, and it's been wonderful chatting with you. And just, as a kind of final question, I think a lot of people hear your story and are inspired and, would love to know if you have any advice for people that are, where you were then, but also I'm curious, how much do you think writing what you know is important? Because that was kind of what started that, right? What made you write that was your own experience. I know that's like a two-parter again, but
yeah, well, if I forget the first part, let me know. That's a good question, though. That's a really good question. Writing what you know, I think you can write about something you don't know, what it feels like to go into space, as an engineer. That would be something I really don't know.
romance could happen in space, though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'd have that space woman falling in love with an alien and lickety split time.
Look, you already got your next idea.
Yeah, thank you. I'll get you a story by credit there. Um, yeah, but I think when you do write what you know, you can go deeper into the POV. You can write with more authenticity. If you have experience, I mean, people will say, oh, well, I never lived in Hawaii, or I never was a singer on stage, or, some of the things that I draw upon in my writing. Well, I bet you did something that I would be interested in. Everybody has a story. And I think it lends credibility and authenticity to your writing when you're writing from your heart, writing something that you know. It doesn't have to be exactly about you, but I do think, especially when you're first starting out, writing what you know. An example, I have a book series about a ghost hunter. Well, I'm not a ghost hunter, but I do believe in ghosts, and I have gone ghost hunting with all the equipment and everything, and I have a great interest in ghosts and the afterlife and spirits and alternate dimensions and that type of thing. So I'm writing what I know in that respect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what was the first part of the? Oh
Just
yeah,
any other advice.
advice. So I would say, and I am starting to get this now because people would say, "Oh, I want to be you when I grow up," or I want that life. Um, just have a really clear plan of what you see yourself doing, manifest it, and work towards it. And if that involves taking classes, listening to lectures, pouring yourself into something, I think that always is a good thing that you never stop learning. For me, I'm obsessively driven, and that's just kind of my personality. Luckily, I'm at a point in life where my kids are grown. Unfortunately, my husband passed away a few years ago, so writing is everything to me right now. That and the dog at my feet. So I have a lot of time to pour into it. I get a lot of enjoyment from telling stories. Everything revolves around my writing. Not everybody is that fortunate, and I wasn't 20 years ago either because I was raising children. But the more you put into it, the more you get out of it, and just go for every opportunity you can. Like those gigs on ISA, I submit to everything because you don't know, you just don't know. You don't know who is has the mandate out for the romance thriller. So just pour yourself into it and throw yourself off the cliff, figuratively, not
Yeah.
literally.
Don't
Yeah.
actually do it. No, that's that's terrific advice. Actually, I think people will find that very valuable. And thank you so much for taking the time with me again. This was a wonderful conversation and congrats.
Thank
Can't wait to see
you.
the movie that comes out. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. This was fun.